Sine, cosine rule and the area of triangles that aren't right angles. So I'm literally going to do these. So this is ABC is a triangle, and as you notice, ABC doesn't actually have a right angle. But you can work out the area of ABC and give your answer 3 sig figs. And the reason you can do that is that you've got this one and this one. And then you've got sine of C. And that is brilliant because as long as you have an angle in the middle of two, so side, angle, side, as long as you have this one, and this one, you can work out the area of the triangle. So this will be A, B, whoops, a daisy. This will be A, B, sine C over 2. Which is 6 times 7 times sine of 60 over 2, which actually we can do this without a calculator. So it would be 6 times 7, which is 42. Sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, and then it would be times half. I mean, I could do it without a calculator. I'm not going to, though. I've just realised that that would be insane. Well, no, it wouldn't. Times 0.5 times and root 3 over 2. But I haven't used the facility on the calculator, which tells me that sine 60, what sine 60 is. And that is 21 root 3 over 2, which does prove my point, but it is 18.2 to 3 significant figures, centimetres squared. Right, work out the length of side AB. Now this is unfortunately the cos rule. Now the cos rule is that, let's just write cos rule, and you'll find this on the front of all your papers, but cos rule is that a squared, in this case it's going to be c squared, let's just do c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos C. So if we mark up that, because I literally was doing A, B, C, and that just means everything's in there. So that means that C squared, you could put the whole thing equals 6 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 6 times 7 times, and cos C in this case equals half, because we know that cos of 60 equals half, so that's times half. So we can get rid of a couple of things. So that means that that is 36 plus 49 minus 42, and all square rooted is what C is. So that would be 36 plus 49 minus 42. I suppose that's just 43, and the square root of 43 is, I don't know. It's going to be about 6.56 centimeters. There you go. Now, this is calculate the length of PR. Okay. Oh, this is another, that's another cos rule 1, so that would be the cos rule, but this time I'm not going to do it because it's too boring, but this is C. So we would say C squared equals 8 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 8 times cos 140. And that would give you your answer. I find it extraordinarily dull doing this quite a lot of the time. This one is, I'll just tell you what it is and then you can do it. Work out the area of the parallelogram and give your answer correct to 3 sig figs. So the best way to do this is you're just going to do that and times by 2. And that way you can use 9.3 times 14.7 times, and that would be sine of 106. and then you divide by 2, but because you're dividing by 2 and timesing by 2, you don't need to do either of those. I'll give you the answer. And then work out the length of the diagonal. So to do that, you're using the cos rule. I'm literally just going through and showing you what these things are. And then you just need to mark up the sides. Now, the diagram shows PQR. Calculate the length of PR. Now, if I haven't been clear about this being A, B, C, so that would be C, that would be A, that would be B. You do need to mark up the sides well, and then you need to make sure that they relate to each other. Now, you usually get A squared equals B squared. In this case, we're just going to use C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2ab cos C. And that's your cos rule. I am hoping to find a sine rule in here somewhere. Triangle has lengths 8, 10, 14. Work out the size of the largest angle of the triangle and give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So it's 8, 10 and 14. I mean, I don't really see the point. That 8, 10, 14. And the largest one's going to be that one. So you would do, again, you'd actually use this but backwards. So you use the cos rule. So you do 8 squared, A squared plus equals B squared plus C squared plus minus 2BC cos A. And then you might have to go through and check that you've got the right things. But essentially, if you made that one A, then you would get the highest angle. And if you can go through and put them in different positions and see what the highest angle you get is. So you can start off by doing 14 equals 8 plus squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 cos A. And then you could do it again, but with 8, and check what the answer was. And that will eventually give you an answer. Ah, finally, here's something that isn't a cos rule, I think, because we've got sine rules. So I'm going to mark up this. I'm going to call this A, although I don't know, it's fine. I'm going to call this B. Oh, let's call that B. Let's call that C. So that means this is little b, this is little a, and this is little c. And what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find the x. Now, if I'm trying to find a side, I put the side on top. So I know that x, or a, let's put x, over sine 42 equals, and the only one I can use is 15 over sine 104. So what you do is you match them up and then you put them down in this way. So that now means that in order to find out what x is, I just times sine over 42 is dividing x. So x must equal 15 sine 42 over sine 104. But basically, it's this one there. Will get you the answer. And then I'm wondering how much more I can do with this before I lose the will to live. Here's a triangle. Leah tries to use the sine rule to work out the size of angle x. Here are the first 2 lines of her working. Well, her issue is that she's not made, if you're going to make something like that, you need to, in order to get a ratio, you need to combine it with a sine or a cos, well, in this case, a sine. So you would actually say, to find out what that is, you would say sine, let's mark it up, shall we? Let's ignore Leia. I often find with these people got it wrong questions, it's easier just to ignore them. So let's make that blue. Right, let's call this A, B, C. Let's call that little c, although you can't really tell the difference. Little b, little a. And let's say that sine of A over little a, which is 31, equals sine of 72 over 54. And then in order to find sine of A, now you've got to be a little careful. So it's sine negative 1 equals, and it will be sine 31 times sine 72 over 54. But now you kind of get the idea of how to do this. I haven't gone through in a very sort of straightforward way, but these are the 3 rules you need to know. And whenever you have to find something, you put it on the top. But because it's just a ratio, it works.